We all know Oblivion's leveling system is a bit weird, but what if you just didn't bother with it? I don't mean you avoid sleeping so you never level up past 1, I mean just don't get XP. You don't have to worry about the leveling system if you don't touch the skills, right? Sure, that prevents you from doing certain things like casting spells, or attacking with bladed weapons, or attacking with blunt weapons. You can't sell anything, you can't run, you can't jump, and there's only one Daedric artifact you can actually get. But come on, how hard could it be? It's Oblivion. This is how I'll feel by the end of the run. For this run, Nord is the best option, because it's the only race that gets a greater power that actually deals damage. Nordic Frost deals 50 points of frost damage on touch. That's a lot of damage at level 1. And the other power, Woad, reduces your damage taken by 30% for 60 seconds once per day. They're both pretty good. So that I don't accidentally jump, run, or sneak, I'm gonna rebind all of these actions to the other side of the keyboard. It'd be tragic if I gained some XP by unwittingly sprinting for a second or two. It would also be tragic if I happened to gain, say, 4 levels because I read each of the commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes, not seeing that they gave me 1 level in Conjuration, Mysticism, Illusion, and Destruction, and then I didn't realize the error until at the very end of the run. Well, in case that happens, I mean, it'd be crazy if it did, right? At least it wouldn't change the run in any way, since I can't use spells from those schools regardless. Keeping up with the Emperor's retinue is easy enough. We're all walking with the utmost amount of sass, and when the cultists attack, the guards can handle them easily enough. You may think I'll rely super heavily on companions throughout this run, but you'd be wrong. I'll certainly take advantage of their presence when they tag along during a quest, but otherwise we'll be going on this adventure alone. Our first trial is getting through this cavern full of rats. Not so easy since rats attack with unrelenting speed. Woad is helpful, of course, lets me tank the hits a bit while I take this leisurely stroll, but with the tunnels being as populated as they are, once Woad runs out, that's it. I can't wait 24 hours to reset the cooldown because I can't wait with enemies nearby. There are some scrolls in the chests in this dungeon, but a singular cast of Fireball won't help me too much when I've got a parade of rats nibbling at my ankles. I'm the Pied Piper. At least some of the rats are more interested in the zombie. Why is there a zombie in the Imperial City's crawl spaces? Behind the walls of the Emperor's escape route? I don't know. What even is this place?
Whoa! Oh!
I can't believe Bethesda didn't design this dungeon with enough health potions scattered throughout so some idiot can come along 20 years later and try walking through without dying. It took a few tries, but I finally figured it out. By standing up here when the wall falls, the rats that spawn first will have to run up the stairs to get to me. When they're far enough away, I can jump down and run to the next door, minimizing the amount of time they have to damage me.
Oh!
Now that I'm here in the goblin section of the tunnels, this actually becomes a lot easier. A single touch with my cold Nord hands kills the first goblin with ease, and the second goblin, with a bit of careful maneuvering and a whole lot of luck, gets hoisted by his own petard, or in this case gets his skull crushed in by the cartoony spiked stumps hanging from the ceiling. And with this gobbo's death, I'm free to retreat to this little area and wait for 24 hours, renewing the power of my frosty fingers. There's 2 more goblins at the bottom of this hill, but they've foolishly placed a comically precarious pile of logs just above them. Where'd they get this wood? Why is it stacked so neatly? Questions that need no answer. The last room has several goblins in it, but I found a scroll of Flashbolt in one of the chests leading up to here, so if I'm sneaky enough, without actually using sneak, I should be able to kill one, flashbolt another, then retreat before the rest notice. This goblin here is super important. That staff she's got, it'll be like a backup weapon. If I expend my greater powers but just need a little more oomph to end combat, I can use this staff. Shock damage, 5 points on target. It's not very strong, and it doesn't hold much in the way of charge, and unlike Morrowind, enchanted items don't replenish over time, so if we want to recharge it, we'll need to figure out how to soul trap stuff. Finding lucky soul trap scrolls, I guess? Finally, we're out of the greenish dungeon and back into the bluish-gray dungeon. At least out here, the blades can handle things.
They cannot understand why I trust you.
Glenroy, you incompetent jackass. Here's where we get our second greater power. I can't think of any better birth sign than the Serpent. Once per day, we can spend 100 points of our fatigue to cure ourselves of poison, dispel magic effects, and place a 3-point damage health effect on the enemy, lasting 20 seconds. Technically stronger than Nordic Frost in overall damage. Less DPS though. At this point, nothing interesting happens for the rest of the tutorial. Oh, the Emperor gets assassinated, but like, whatevs. For our class, it doesn't really matter. Speed, because maybe more speed will make walking faster? I don't know. And endurance for more fatigue, I guess? Maybe agility would have been a better choice for a slightly lower chance to be staggered. Oh well. Major skills are irrelevant since we won't be using any of them, at least not in any way that gains XP. For magic schools, that means no spell casting. For mercantile, as long as we don't sell anything to a shop or buy spells, we won't gain any XP. And for weapon skills, as long as we don't actually hit anything, we'll be good. I'm only taking hand to hand so I can unlock the power attack perk.
Yeah!
As you can see, power attacking makes you lurch forward a bit. I can't be sure this is faster than just walking since you stop for a moment at the end of your attack, but it feels faster, and it may come in handy for maneuvering in combat. I just need to be careful not to accidentally hit anyone. That would grant XP. It took a while to get out of the sewers, but that's because we didn't have many tools available to us. We won't ever have many tools available to us during this run, but at least we'll have more later. Right now, we barely have any. First thing we gotta do, fast travel to Deep Scorn Hollow. Not because player housing matters, and we couldn't enter if we wanted to, swimming grants athletics XP, but because to the northwest is one of Oblivion's Doomstones. There are a lot of these guys scattered about, one for each birth sign, and if you activate the Serpent Stone when the stars cast their sight upon it, at night, you're granted another greater power, Cobra's Dance. 5 seconds of paralysis, and 4 points of damage health for 20 seconds, both on target. Look at us, already shaping up to be mildly threatening. Now, we begin Oblivion's main quest. The Emperor knew he was gonna die, dreams and prophecy and whatnot, and he thought we were a pretty cool guy, so he gave us his neat little amulet for safekeeping. Said he wanted us to bring it to Joffrey and Wayne and Priory, so that's what we did. Joffrey takes the news of the Emperor's death rather well, all things considered, because it turns out the Emperor abandoned one of his kids decades ago, and that kid can use the amulet to relight the dragon fires and seal the maws of Oblivion shut forever. Why can't any of the Emperor's other kids do it? Because the cultists killed them all. Gold's gonna be hard to come by, and we'll be needing a lot later on in the run, so we should take potions wherever we can find them, rather than buying them. Joffrey's got a few in his supply chest, and he's even got a scroll we can take. And the game crashed. All I want for Christmas is for Bethesda to use the success of the Amazon Fallout series as an excuse to modernize Fallout 3's engine. Then some modders could try integrating the changes into Oblivion, and maybe Oblivion won't crash all the time. We meme on Bethesda for re-releasing Skyrim all the time, but if the only version of Skyrim they ever released was the one from 2011, do you seriously think it would function on computers right now? Martin lives in Kavatch, and when we get there, the sky is ominous and foreboding, and this high elf is a bit unsettled.
I'm getting out of here before it's too late. They'll be here any minute, I'm telling you! Run when you can! I don't know. What could we have done to deserve...
I wish I could run, man. I wish I could run. This portal to hell opened up and it's ruining everyone's day. Tearing up the sidewalks, knocking over fruit stands, rending flesh from bones. But there's a few guys standing around it, and we can boastfully inform them that we will enter the symbol from the title screen and close it from within. Luckily, scamps don't resist my greater powers, so we can eliminate the two that immediately attack us, but what's this? A fellow mortal? Within this plane of Oblivion? Illand Vonius may be scared. He may want to flee from this place, but deep down in his heart, he knows he wants to help me fight our way to the top of the tower. Illand is surprisingly effective. On less restricted runs, he usually dies by this point, but today he's really holding... Oh wow, look at that shield go. Talk about a death throw with the W. It works better in text. As was the case with the goblins, we need to find a safe place to wait in order to get our greater powers back. With how weak all these enemies are, a single cast of one of the powers should be enough to fully kill them. So each day affords us 3 kills, assuming I don't miss any of the spell casts.
Yeah! 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 Yeah!
However, will we handle the Sigil Keeper? I wish I could help this guy. I mean, there probably is a way, but I don't know. With the key, we can venture further up the main tower, killing and waiting as we go. The churls may have some useful loot on them. Scrolls and potions. Ooh, a scroll of Soul Trap. Only 5 seconds, so it'll be a bit tight, but this means more juice for our staff. No, scamp, stay away. Let the poison melt. Ugh, this staff sucks. Dropped a soul though, and we can recharge the staff. Should we save scum for a decent sigil stone? See, the sigil stones can be used to enchant a piece of gear or a weapon. The strength of the enchantment scales with your level upon getting the stone. At level 1, they aren't all that strong. Is it really worth the effort? I reset a couple times and I got a Fortify Speed Stone. If it makes us walk faster, great. If it doesn't, who cares? 7 speed isn't what's gonna make or break this run. I hadn't mentioned this yet, but we can't wear armor during this run. If we get hit while wearing armor, we'll gain XP in that armor class. So we're stuck with clothing and robes. I mean, I guess I could wear the armor and just not get hit, but since I can't run, that'd be pretty tough. I'd rather just take more damage and not worry about the XP than try to avoid everything. I'll put the speed buff on my Mythic Dawn hood. The hat makes me fast. With the gate closed, we can enter Kavatch with Savli and Mattias and find Martin. This should be easy since we have a bunch of followers with us, and they can handle the combat while I hang out in the back. Martin's an essential NPC anyway, so even if he quote-unquote dies, he'll get back up and keep fighting. Real go-getter, that one. Before Martin will leave Kavatch, he wants to make sure the Daedra are run out of the city entirely. So we all push forward toward the Count's Keep, or rather, my squad of soldiers, a few legionnaires, and a priest push forward toward the Count's Keep while I watch. And upon arriving in the keep, Savli and Mattias decides he wants to stay put and, I don't know, jerk off, and tells me to find the Count. Fortunately, Martin comes with me, and he's pretty good with a dagger, to put it lightly. I was under the impression that most fantasy priests disallowed the use of bladed weapons, drawing from real-life lore, history as it's also called, of priests not being allowed to shed blood. Bludgeoning, however, as long as the slurry of fluids remained under the skin, was totally fine. Turns out that's probably a myth. Many medieval clerics weren't wealthy, swords were expensive, sticks and mallets, not so much. They didn't abstain from swords, they just couldn't afford them. I'm surprised one of the Imperial soldiers managed to survive all this way. Oh man. This game is so dumb. Well, the Count's dead. Bethesda, you've subverted my expectations once again. For returning the Count's ring to Savlian, he recognizes the futility of his service to the Empire, and before self-immolating himself with a pocket scamp, he awards us with his armor. I'll treasure it always. I may have embellished the events of Savlian's retirement. We return to the Priory with Martin. Why do I script stuff that's so hard for me to pronounce? We return to the Priory with Martin. We return with Martin, and there is cultists wrecking up the place.
The dawn is breaking.
Martin? Help. Damn it, Martin. Gotta get those powers back.
You inward.
Oh, wait, wrong game. This is just a conjurer. Apparently, it's the Spell Tomes DLC that causes a conjurer to attack you soon after you start the game. I'm not sure what the point of Spell Tomes are, since you can just spell make your own spells in the game. Doesn't really affect this run though, since we can't use the spells they teach anyway. In fact, they replace scrolls in some loot tables, so they're actually more of a detriment than anything.
I do not fear death.
You're back.
What, did I lean up against wet paint or something? If you were so worried, why didn't you keep it on your person? Or, I don't know, keep it somewhere more defensible than a dinky little monastery.
They've taken it. The Amulet of Kings is gone.
Oh, what a shock. But Martin's alive at least. In a bit of a weird state, admittedly, but he's alive. He'll be safer at Cloud Ruler Temple, where the amulet probably should have been kept, but I'm sure there's some contrived reason why he couldn't bring it there.
Hail, Dragonborn! Hail, Mor Ul Rek! Hail, hail! Your Highness.
Oblivion is unpolished in the weirdest places. The next step of the main quest is to meet back up with Baurus, the guy that single-handedly let the Emperor die on his watch. You might think that's ground for some kind of a discharge, honorable or otherwise, but consider this. It cost the Empire one Emperor to teach Baurus this lesson. You think he'll ever make that mistake again?
Sit down.
How goes it?
Listen, I'm going to get up in a minute and walk out of here. That guy in the corner behind me will follow me. You follow him.
3 guys in a basement just being dudes.
What did you do that for? Some kind of
My blood for the Empire!
A member of the Mythic Dawn, if it wasn't obvious, and he's got the first of 4 volumes of Mankar Cameron's commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes. And Baurus wants us to gather all 4 volumes. Not only may they reveal some information about the cult and their plans, but they're also the last books Baurus needs to complete his collection, and he's been hunting these things down for ages, man. Tarmina lets us have a copy of the 2nd volume, and sends us to Findius's bookshop to learn how to get volumes 3 and 4. But I want to take a quick detour real quick. There's a pretty effective way to make gold by farming vampires. If you plant a vampire's fang and wait a month, it grows into a vampire tree, and then in the summer you
Pardon me. I'm sorry to trouble you, but I was sent to ask for your help.
So there's a quest you can get after you earn 5 fame, which you get just by doing the first few parts of the main quest. Wait around in the Talos Plaza district for a bit, and Rausa Norvalo will approach you and ask that you meet with her husband, Gillen. He's waiting for us in Seradar's house, and this is Seradar. He'd like to speak with us in his basement.
Good evening. Arthralos is a sneaky one. Kind of makes you wonder what he's up to.
Dude.
I heard that he stood in one place for hours, just to teach himself how to be sneakier. Sounds boring. Shh.
Yeah, no shit. Jimmy Neutron hair have an ass. It's a ragtag group of would-be vampire hunters, the Order of the Virtuous Blood, and they think they've got a lead on a vampire that's been living right here in the city. Oh, Serator says he saw Roland Genseric attack a woman and suck her blood right in the garden. Naturally, he wants us to break into his house and find clues because the man disappeared shortly after his run-in with Serator. The door to his house is locked, however. There are scrolls that can open locks of all kinds, but I don't have any. And except for the lowest strength scrolls, there's no real way to get them beyond finding them in dungeons just randomly. But I have a plan. More Doomstones. The Tower Doomstone grants the power to open a hard lock once per day. We just have to go to the stone at night. This means losing my Serpent Stone ability, but only temporarily. We'll get it back later. The Tower Stone is just across the water from the Imperial City's waterfront. A quick swim, actually. But wait, swimming grants athletics XP. We gotta take the land route around the water. A water walking scroll would have been awesome. All hope isn't lost, however. If we go to the Chestnut Handy Stables on the western side of the Imperial City, just outside the city walls, we can get a free horse from Snack Grabura.
Snack Grabura, owner and proprietor.
Snack indeed. This free horse is brought to us by the greatest DLC ever to grace the market, the best product to ever exist. The greatest merchant ever, Ea Nasir, wishes he could have made a product like this. Horse armor. Digital horse armor. The horsiest armor that ever digitally horsed. We can even run with the horse and won't gain any athletics experience. I'm pretty sure horse riding in real life requires at least some athleticism. It can't be easy. It's not like driving a car. But really, how many video game horses don't operate like cars anyway? My god. Oblivion is beautiful. Amazing. It just works. We're actually going to accomplish a few things on this trip. There's 2 fast travel locations I want to grab on our way to the stone. The Shrine of Clavicus Vile and the Iliad Ruins of Vindicel. We can't do anything with them now, but they're the only reason this run is remotely possible. We'll come back to them later. Oh, horses can swim. Can horses actually swim? Hippos can't swim, and their name literally means river horse. Yep, horses can swim. I'm a city boy. Touch the stone, get the power, return to the Imperial City, unlock Roland's door, and read the inconspicuous note here on the table. Super easy to miss. I didn't wait several days in order to unlock all the doors in his house for absolutely no reason. That'd be stupid. I also didn't accidentally enter the wrong house at first. He's got a random skull in his bedroom. He doesn't sleep in a coffin, but this is pretty damning evidence of vampirism if you ask me. The note in his house is from his girlfriend, Ralphina, the woman Serator said Roland killed, and they were planning on meeting in the cabin east of the Imperial City. That may be where he ran off to. And sure enough, that's where we find him. According to him, it's Serator who's the vampire. Serator attacked Ralphina, luring her into the garden in the cover of night with his vampiric powers. Roland witnessed this, having followed Ralphina out into the garden because he was suspicious, and he tried defending Ralphina. But Serator overpowered him, knocking him unconscious but leaving him alive so he could take the blame. Then Roland ran off, as any innocent man would do. So we have a choice. Side with Roland or side with Serator. Kill Roland or kill Serator. The reward we're after requires us to side with Roland, so that's what we're gonna do. Phintius may know more about Serator's daily routine, and he just so happens to be the same guy we gotta talk to about those commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes. The 3rd volume is rare, and the 4th is impossible to find. He has a copy of the 3rd, but he already promised to sell it to one of Santa's elves. Fortunately, he doesn't really want to be a cultist, he wants to be a dentist, so we can scare him into handing over the 3rd book if we tell him the author is the head of the cult that killed the Emperor. He even gives us a note outlining the details of his upcoming meeting with the Mythic Dawn. That is how we get the 4th volume. We'll pass this information on to Baurus eventually. Back to Phintius, we can ask him about Serator, but the guy is pretty unpleasant to begin with, so he's not interested in telling us anything. If his disposition were higher, he'd be more than happy to share the personal information of one of his clients, but how do we raise his disposition? Well, it turns out bribing people in the Speechcraft menu grants no experience. So we throw him a few bucks and he tells us Serator buys a bunch of books for when he travels out to Memorial Cave, a subterranean graveyard just outside the Imperial City. We'll switch back to the Serpent Doomstone Power first, then take a long horse ride down to the cave, south-southwest of Roland's shack. I don't know, this place seems suspicious. Oh god damn it, it's like Skyrim archery all over again. He resisted the paralysis. That must mean vampires! Serator may have been feeding us the good old bamboozle me things. Oh. I have contracted porphyric hemophilia. If I don't cure this, I'll be cursed to have a few more greater powers I can use, and I'll also have increased stats. Surely I won't regret this. Because we're level 1, everything dies in a single spellcast. Whether it's the Nordic Frost power, the Doomstone power, or the Serpent Birth Sign power, everything dies all the same. It took some time, but I cleared the dungeon of all the skellies and vamps, collecting all the vampire dust on the way. It's important. And now we've got the soft serve ice cream high elf to deal with. Oh, I thought there'd be a monologue. Excellent news, Roland. I've killed several men. So Roland returns to the Imperial City, clears things up with the Order of the Virtuous Blood, and carries on with them as a vampire hunter himself. In exchange for helping him deal with his vampire problem, he gives us a Sunfire ring which has an 8% spell reflect on it, and he offers to buy any and all vampire dust from us for 250 gold each. Well, it's 250 gold for killing a vampire. The dust is proof. Point is, I could turn vampire dust into gold without gaining any XP. This will be our gold farm. It's why I collected all the dust from the cave. Now that we've got a couple thousand gold, I think we should buy a few scrolls. Not so many that we'd be using them as primary weapons, but as backup just in case we get stuck in combat without any greater powers. Edgar Vautrin's scrolls aren't all that powerful regardless. Calendil sells scrolls too, and soul gems. We'll get a few of those. If we happen across some soul trap scrolls, we'll have plenty of gems to put them to use. That I have a method of making gold means I can now reveal why I want to make gold. Rindir is a staff merchant. He sells the best staff in the entire game, perhaps the best item in the entire game, apotheosis, and it costs nearly 6,000 septims, but it deals 33 points of fire, frost, and shock damage on target. It's only got 12 uses, but we'll find some workarounds for that. It won't be a primary weapon, it'll be our tactical nuke. But before we can even think about buying this staff, we gotta hunt more vampires. First up, Fort Carmala. Ah, Shadow Banish wine. This could get us a bit of cash too, but we'll need 4 more bottles.
Pay up, or else.
Anyway, Fort Vlastaris. A bit more wine too. Our next stop is the desktop, Fort Aris. Not a vampire dungeon, but it does have 2 bottles of Shadow Banish wine within. There's a bunch of magical nerds wandering around the place too, hanging out with Daedra and whatnot, but they're no more a threat than the vampires. And they have a chance to drop scrolls too, so that's nice. Ooh, Robe of Deflection. A permanent 5% shield buff. Why not? And the Shadow Banish wine is in the chest right near where I killed this man. If we bring all 6 bottles to Narusa, publican of the Wanet Inn, west of the Imperial City, she'll give us a hefty 1,000 gold.
Here's your finder's fee, worth every single coin, I assure you.
For another easy 1,000 gold, we can pretend to help Glarthir. He's a paranoid little guy, thinks everyone's following him, watching him, wants us to spy on the people he thinks are spying on him. We meet him behind the Skingrad Church at midnight, and he tells us who to spy on. We don't actually have to spy on them, we could just wait over and over again and then tell him what he wants to hear. And we get paid a few hundred gold for our work. Finally, when he asks us to kill those 3 spies, we inform the guards who enact imperial justice. Impromptu public executions. We take the key from his corpse and steal 800 gold from the wastebasket in his house, and no one important had to die. In Oblivion, dungeons will repopulate if you don't return for 3 days, plus an hour or so just to be safe. And since this entire run is full of waiting for 24 hours after casting a few spells, it's no surprise that the vampires have returned to Fort Carmala, so I ran through it again to collect more dust.
Our brother Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
If I counted right, it looks like I sold 15 piles of vampire dust for a sweet 3,750 coins. We're now sitting at a healthy 7,500 septims, more than enough to buy apotheosis. Oh, I almost forgot. I have to sleep to become a vampire. As a full vampire, I get access to a few powers I can use once per day. Charm 50 points for 20 seconds, Silence for 60 seconds, Invisibility for 180 seconds. Sure, we take some damage in the sun, but how could that ever be a problem? It actually makes entering shops a bit of an issue. Oblivion's NPCs have schedules, and they close their shops at night, having no concern for their vampiric patrons.
Whoa!
No!
Ugh, he won't even sell us the staff because we're a blood-sucking monster. Doesn't he realize the more vampire-y I am means I've drunk from fewer people? And he's one to talk. Should I assume he eats people just because he's a Bosmer? Thankfully, I can use one of my vampire powers to increase his disposition without earning any XP, and he'll sell me the staff for 5,720 septims. The mind control is probably a factor in why people don't care for it. It's not just the blood-sucking thing. Before returning to the main quest, there is one other power we can get, and it comes from a sword, unique among the other powers in the game. Battlehorn Tower west of Coral was added with the Fighter's Stronghold DLC, and is one of the archetype-focused player housings. Frostcrag is for mages, Dunbarrow Cove is for thieves, and Castle Battlehorn is for warriors. We just need to help the castle fend off a bunch of marauders at the gate. It was pretty easy except for the last guy. Not because he was hard to kill, but because I didn't have any way of damaging him. No powers left, and my staff was out of juice. What I didn't expect to work was passing through a bunch of loading screens caused the game to forget I was in combat. After passing through 2 separate doors in quick succession, I was able to wait. And I guess while I was waiting, the Battlehorn men-at-arms took care of the marauder and interrupted my rest to thank me for dealing with the marauders. Because we killed a few people, the fort is now ours. Like other player houses, you can buy upgrades and unlock new features around the place, but we don't really care about that. Even without the upgrades, there are several hidden passageways scattered throughout the castle. So well hidden that I actually spent a good 15 minutes wandering around the place trying to find them. The correct secret passage I was looking for is behind this archery target. I don't know if hiding something at the end of a firing range is genius or totally inept, but that's just how the Battlehorn architects do. Deep in the bowels of the castle is a spooky glowing skeleton. I was hoping to get away without having to use apotheosis charges, but it seems I was wrong. I need to make sure I don't miss though. Every charge on this staff is like a precious little newborn, a gift from above. If I'm gonna chuck them, I gotta make it count. And right here is another power, the Dragon Sword of Laneland. When equipped, the sword grants the Dragon Breath lesser power, meaning we can cast it as many times as we want, provided we have enough magicka. It does 10 points of fire damage within 10 feet of the target. Not as strong as our greater powers, but it being a lesser power makes it much more flexible. Hell, with enough magicka potions, we could spam it. There's also a Lich down here. Liches always have a staff on them, and I need all the staves I can get. Ooh, a Varla Stone! I didn't realize there'd be one down here. Varla Stones are like super soul gems. At the cost of destroying the stone, you can replenish the charge of all the enchanted items you're carrying, including staves. You usually only find these in Alien Ruins, and they never respawn, so they're a pretty valuable item. Alright, let's see what staff he's packing. Staff of Sickness. I don't know what that means. Damage 20 points and 10 feet on target. Ooh, holy moly. That's amazing. 30 charges too. Another Varla Stone? Wow, this was— ooh, a third one! You're just hiding right over here. Jeez. Problem is, I'll never actually want to use them until the very last moment when every single one of my staves is spent. My own desire for optimization might cause a problem. I'll probably end this run with 2 Varla Stones in my inventory. And we'll cross that bridge later. Or not, since I'm a vampire and vampires can't cross over running water, I think. That's why we never see vampires in cities anymore. Public waterworks have water running all over the place, but it's deep underground so the vampires can't. Back to the main quest. To get the 4th volume of the commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes, we gotta meet with the cultists in the sewers. Baurus says he knows that part of the sewers, so he can lead us there. Maybe if he spent more time defending the Emperor and less time mapping the sewers like some sort of gremlin, we wouldn't be in this mess. Can we just wait a bit and meet him there? Right, vampire. Aha! It is I who must be escorted through the sewers this time. Mudcrabs and rats are no match for Baurus. It's a shame it wasn't mudcrabs that tried to assassinate the Emperor. We'll let Baurus handle the meeting so we can get the drop on the cultists as they enter the room. We'll paralyze and poison Raven Cameron before the other 2 initiate combat.
I told you to come alone! Brothers, kill them!
Where'd you go?
Just been rats.
Come on, where I can see you.
For Auriel Septim!
Grab the book, and help Baurus fend off— oh, he killed the other 2 on his own. He usually dies here. Good for him. Baurus won't help me on the way out, but it's just a few goblins and a couple rats. I'm sure the owners of this house are happy to know vampires can crawl up through the sewers into their basement at any time. They're cute when they're small, but when they start getting too big, everyone just flushes their pet vampires down the toilet, and this is what you end up with. Full-grown vampires running amok in the city sewers and popping up into your basement. Oh man, thank God I have an open easy lock scroll with me. Now here's where I screwed up. You don't actually have to return to Taormina to carry on with the main quest. You can just go to the Green Emperor Way at midday, and the tomb of Prince Cameron will light up, and that'll tell you where the Mythic Dawn hideout is. I don't know why I assumed I needed the quest to update first, so I went to talk to Taormina, but she told me to go away because, you know, vampire. Even with my vampiric seduction, she was still skeeved out by me. Lizard hates bat. So I joined the Mages Guild, cast Vampiric Embrace on her again, and that worked. Her disposition was high enough, but she still wasn't saying anything of note, so maybe I was supposed to read the books first? I didn't notice the obvious sound that plays when you level up, somehow, but this did change her dialogue. After this, she tells us to come back tomorrow, and she'll have deciphered the hidden meaning by then. And yet, I literally just went to where I had to go anyway. I didn't have to do any of that nonsense with Tarmina, and I didn't follow through with it. I don't know what the hell I was doing. So is this run invalidated because I got 4 levels across 4 schools of magic that I'm not using during the run anyway? I guess, but technically it wasn't XP. Oh well, it doesn't actually change how the rest of the run will go. If you think this ruins the video and it invalidates the run and that the only point of challenge runs is to be totally perfect and to be totally absolutely in line with the rules and it's not just for entertainment purposes, then here's what you should do. Try the run yourself, realize how much of a pain in the ass it is, do it a second time, because that's what I would have to do. I'd have to do it a second time to fix this, and then go outside, sit in the shade, don't want to get sunburned or anything, maybe put on some sunscreen, wear a hat, listen to the birds, watch the squirrels run up and down the tree, and realize none of this matters. Their hideout is north of Cheydinhal in the Lake Arius Caverns. We can hand over all our gear to Harrow and enter the lair as a double agent, get the amulet, and make our dastardly escape, but that's actually harder than just killing everyone. It makes more sense for me to do it this way anyway, because this way allows me to wait between each kill, or at least wait between every few kills. I got 2 of them. Several bad guys. Whatever shall we do? A lesser Staff of Sickness. Damage health 10 points and 10 feet on target. 48 uses rather than 30. Nice.
No, I do not fear death.
Damn it. So that's a less obvious thing I need to be cautious of. Taking fall damage grants acrobatics XP. Gotta reload. Cameron ran off with the amulet, but he left the Mysterium Xarxes itself behind. Maybe there are some secrets in here to help us get the amulet back. You know, it's always fireballs and lightning bolts with mages. Why don't any of them just fold people in half? What school do you study? Chiropractic. I meant School of Magic. I did too.
I do not fear death.
You will not let us see the day!
The Mysterium Xarxes is dangerous. A terrible document hewn from the fabrics of Oblivion itself. Few may even touch the golden letters embossed on its spine, but Martin may have a... You may think I'm exaggerating. The game actually crashed more than what I'm showing you. With the Xarxes in hand, Martin can get to work deciphering the writings to see if they can lead us to Cameron, and ultimately, to the Amulet of Kings. While he does that, Joffrey wants us to handle some spies. Oh, the Mythic Dawn agent died while I was making my way to kill him. Doesn't he have the key I need, though? His body could be anywhere. You know what? I'll just pretend I don't need the key and carry on. Captain Bird, who wouldn't talk to me unless I lowered my vampirism level by feeding on a few people at Cloud Ruler Temple, mentions Jurl having just returned from a trip down south. A euphemism, surely. Bird is in league with the Mythic Dawn. Jurl's home is locked, but it's an easy lock, and I happen to have an open easy lock scroll that I found in a dungeon chest while vampire hunting, I think. Or I bought it. I don't know. My approach to scrolls in this run is, if see scroll, take scroll. It doesn't matter what the scroll is, I'm taking it. And within this home is Jurl herself, sleeping. How villainous. We find her orders in the basement. The Mythic Dawn is planning on opening the mother of all Oblivion gates outside of Bruma so they can take the city and press an attack on Cloud Ruler Temple itself. Joffrey will handle that stuff for now because Martin's figured out part of the ritual to open a portal into Cameron's paradise. But we're gonna need some special items. The first being an artifact formed from the essence of a Daedric lord. A Daedric artifact. We can get an artifact from one of the many Daedric Prince quests across Cyrodiil. Go to a shrine, summon the prince, get a task, do the task, get the artifact. Easy. But most of the quests have a strict level requirement. The lowest being Azura's quest, requiring you to be level 2. So, how do we do this? How do we get to level 2 without getting XP? We don't. There's a bit of a workaround we can do here. Clavicus Vile's Daedric quest requires you to be level 15. However, if you do his task first, then summon him at his shrine, he'll reward you regardless of your level. What he wants is his sword back, Umbra. Umbra is wielded by a Bosmer of the same name, deep within the Iliad ruins of Vindicel. She's level 50 and has 400 health, so killing her won't be super easy. If I'm honest, she's pretty tough for a regular playthrough. But so much of what I've done thus far has been to prepare for this fight specifically. It's the primary reason why I got Apotheosis. Together with my greater powers, I think Apotheosis should take her out rather easily.
Fought mud crabs more fearsome than you. Hunger shall feed. What's the matter? Getting tired?
First try. Umbra is probably the best sword in the game, primarily because, as a quest item, it weighs nothing. If you finish Clavicus Vile's quest and refuse to hand the sword over to him, it'll stop being a quest item and gain a bunch of weight. But you don't need to finish the quest if all you want is the sword. That said, we gotta give him the sword so he rewards us with the Mask of Clavicus Vile.
You've brought the sword! Now give it to me, as we agreed. Umbra and I have unfinished business. Excellent! A pitiful sword with a pitiful soul in exchange for a mask fit for a god. You've gotten the better of this bargain, mortal. Now, I have business to attend to. Run along. Perhaps I'll be looking for you again.
All it does is fortify personality by 20 points and look like Steven Seagal. We can give it to Martin. Baurus, chill.
What do you need, friend?
I'm not a dying emperor. We give Martin the mask and let him carry on deciphering the text, and while he does that, Joffrey wants us to go help Captain Bird with an Oblivion gate that just opened up outside of Bruma. We need to show him and his men how to close the gates so they can handle any other gates that pop up. The Mythic Dawn needs to open and keep open several lesser gates before they can open up the Mega Gate. Closing the gates as they open isn't a permanent solution, but it slows the cult down at least. Captain Bird is surprisingly useful. His men, not so much. They all died almost immediately. An average lock? Isn't there supposed to be a key? Doesn't somebody drop a key? Was it that Dremora bird just killed? The body that's missing right now? Here's a sword, but I think the body fell over the edge. Well, here's hoping the ground floor of this place is in the same cell as the ledge his corpse tumbled over. Gods be praised. Back up we go. Dipshit. Alright, Bird. Just grab the stone that totally doesn't look like it'll unmake your hand retroactively throughout time. I've done it once before, and I was fine, so it's probably always safe. Fortify health 10 points. Yeah, that sounds good. Good news, everyone. Martin's made some progress. The second item the ritual requires is the counterpart to the first. We need the blood of a divine. But the Aedra have no artifacts on Nirn. Arguably, Nirn is the artifact, but we may be able to use the armor of Tiber Septim, because becoming a god makes him always have been a god? I don't know. We gotta raid Sancretor, free the spirits of the Blades Within by killing some skellies, and then claim Tiber Septim's armor. All the ghosts in this place died at 2 casts of Dragon Breath. I have 60 total magicka, each cast costs 32 magicka, so I have to wait a couple seconds for the second cast. But that beats waiting a whole day between using my powers. Also, I'm pretty sure ghosts resist frost, so the Nordic touch ability is a bit useless. That said, I've got those Varlo stones, so I might as well use the staves to speed things up. And here's the armor. Let's get this back to Martin so he can tell us what other obscure item we need to find him next. Where'd my horse... Oh, right. The skeletons outside Sancretor chased her away. Poor Buttercup. The third item, a great welkin stone from the Ayleid ruined Miskarcan. Before we head out, let's grab a drink so we can do a bit of shopping without having to worry about the sun. I need potions. Potions of sorcery specifically. Miskarcan is full of zombies, which are weak to fire. Dragon Breath will see a lot of use there. As for a new horse, they ain't cheap to buy. If no one sees it, it's not illegal. The Gobbos die to a couple fireballs pretty reliably. The zombies, not so much. At least it's an AoE attack. Damn it. These welkin stones may come in handy. They don't recharge enchanted items like Varla stones, but they do fully replenish your magicka. They're fighting each other. While they're distracted, I'll find the switch that reveals a Varla stone. Even more of a reason to use these staves. Maybe I could just dodge all the zombies, rush to the end of the dungeon, grab the greater welkin stone, and run out before any of them get me. I may have made a mistake. Whoa! Cool. Oh shit, that's a lich. Oh my. I want his staff. I don't know what it is, but I want it. Here, we'll go invisible using my vampire powers so we can get some distance. Then we'll use one of the Varla stones since all the staves are basically empty right now. And finally, we'll burn the lich down with a few casts from apotheosis. Wow, that was easy. Greater Staff of Corrosion. Disintegrate armor. Oh, god damn it. Now that Martin has the stone, he says there's just one more thing we need for the ritual. A great sigil stone. The anchoring stone of a great Oblivion gate. We have to let the Mythic Dawn open a great gate outside of Bruma, just as they were planning, and take the sigil stone from within before Dagon's forces push their siege machine into Tamriel. Suffice it to say, once we enter the gate, we'll have a time limit, and we can't run. Oh, how stressful this'll be.
Soldiers of Cyrodiil, the Empire will stand or fall by what we do here today. Will we let the Daedra do to Bruma what they did to Kavatch? Will we let them burn our homes? Will we let them kill our families?
It's nice that the Mythic Dawn is so patient. They're kinda dumb though. Literally the only thing standing between Mehrunes Dagon and a full-scale invasion of Tamriel is a well-placed arrow into Martin's face. Well, there's the second gate. And there's gate number 3. What are those 6 guards doing? Guys, seriously? Whatever. Onward to the low-res firewall. We've got about 20 minutes to get the sigil stone. I'm not sure what happens if we fail, but I assume it means death. Because we're timed, that means we can't wait in here either. So we gotta clear this whole place out with only our staves. Oh. How do I get across this? Maybe a power attack could launch me over? Oh, did I make it? Come on, just get up the... Oh, damn it. Oh, there's a door down here. I think this is the right way. Yeah, that looks familiar. I usually just acrobatics my way around the gate. How are you actually supposed to do this? Oh, you go to the top of the tower and pull the gate control just past the Fade Naz. And the gate's open. I think I can make it. Fade Naz, more like Sucksaz. They have a lot of health. I don't like them. Last room. Rather than fighting my way up to the top, how's about we go invisible and stroll on up to the sigil stone? And these idiots were none the wiser. We did it, Martin, but it's pretty early in the morning. I gotta find a bit of shade. I'll meet you back at the temple. Uh-oh. I think I just screwed myself. Ah, damn it. Vampirism is never the right choice, is it? Alright, so I reloaded back into the hallway with the smashy spike blades, and this time, I'll blitz through the tower and try to return to Tamriel before sunrise. I can't power attack while invisible, but I think slowly walking is still faster than having to fight through everything, even if I can power attack my way up. Alright, no time to talk, I gotta find somewhere to hide, I'll be right back, Martin. The stables! I can make it. I know I can. No! It's locked! Oh! I have an open easy scroll. What? Where's my cursor? I can't exit the lockpick screen. What is happening? Oblivion stole my mouse cursor. I actually had to reboot my computer. My cursor vanished. Fortunately, I didn't lose any footage. Let's try this again. What the hell? Is the guy behind the door locking it immediately? And it crashed again. We'll cast it at a distance. Good. It hit the door. The door is unlocked. Clearly, as we can see, it's unlocked. I'm about to zero sum. Screw it. Whew. We made it. Man, that was stupid. Hardest part of this run.
Hello there.
To avoid more of this nonsense, we'll drink someone's blood to de-vampire a bit. Whatever, her blood's probably fine. Thank you, Martin, for opening this door. Oh god, I hate clan fear. They remind me of the magic using Draugr in Skyrim. Just back off. Stop with the frost beams in my face. They just never stop. or flog pyros from TF2. To proceed further into Cameron's paradise, we must answer these questions 3. Well, not really. But he'll let us through the doors up ahead if we perform a menial task for him, or... we need the bands of the Chosen he's carrying to get through another door deeper in the caves. This door right here. Once we put on these bands, we need to be super careful about getting hit. These bands are classed as light armor. Getting hit while wearing light armor, even a single piece, will grant light armor XP. And we can't take them off until later in the dungeon. They fuse to our wrist or something. Apotheosis one-shots just about everything, so it's my best bet for keeping enemies away from me. Metamucil here offers to help me get out of the caves, we just gotta play act a bit. The hero of Kavatch is really trusting. Ah, he got me. Wow, straight to level 6. Gotta reload. Blast the clan fear, and paralyze the cultist. The poison should do the rest of the work. Metamucil makes good on his end of the bargain and removes the bands of the Chosen from our wrists and asks if he can join us in our fight against Mankar Cameron. Why not? I'm pretty sure he dies in like 2 hits, but he respawns. That's how Paradise works for cult members. You die, you resurrect in Paradise. He's good cannon fodder. Oh no, a Zavali, a Dremora sorcerer of incomprehensible power. However, will I deal with him?
Whoa. You did not expect to see me again, did you?
Who are you? I want her staff.
I do not fear death!
Oblivion. Another staff of sickness. Cool. Wonder if Raven has anything neat. Get him, Metamucil. Oh my god. You tried, Metamucil. Raven's got nothing. Mankar Cameron is pretty dangerous. Along with his resistances, he's got a pretty sizable amount of spell absorption and spell reflection. Not great for a magic user. He's almost as dangerous as a Morrowind Atronach. We're at the whim of dice rolls. Would you stop sliding around my lightning and just die already? Use my powers, blast him with apotheosis. Metamucil, get out of the... Whoa, Metamucil! He did it! Definitely taking his robes. Spell absorption and damage reflection? Don't mind if I do. And another staff of sickness. Oh, and the Amulet of Kings. That's why we came here. Last thing we gotta do, relight the dragon fires. Realizing how dire the situation is, Mehrunes Dagon press the attack upon the Imperial City just as we meet with Chancellor Rakato. But of course, we can't just bunker down right here and fend off the attack because we must get to the Temple of the One or else whatever Martin's planning won't work. I don't know why he can't just do what he was gonna do here in the Council Chamber. I mean, I guess if he's planning on turning into a giant dragon aspect of Akatosh, then maybe it makes sense to go to the temple, but that's ridiculous. This was strangely difficult, not because Martin kept dying. I kept dying. In fact, the Daedra didn't seem to give a damn about him. They all just funneled towards me. How big do you think... never mind, focus. Maybe he won't notice me. Okay. Come on, Martin. Made it. Martin, do your thing. And here's where I noticed I got some levels. Somehow, the little bit of red at the bottom, see the little 30% thing there? That never registered to me. I was hyper-focused on the numbers. I was making sure they were all 0%. I didn't notice Destruction, Illusion, Mysticism, and Conjuration were all 1 level higher than they should have been. Vampirism boosts some of those skills, but not in a way that would give you a level that ends in 6. I laid this out earlier in the video, somewhat sarcastically, but I think it was pretty obvious what I was getting at, so I don't feel like I've misled you. Either way, even though I got 4 levels, I still managed to do this without actually using any of the skills.
The shape of the future. The fate of the Empire. These things now belong to you.
Oh. Huh. Well, another character canonically dead.